Act 2, Fuenteovejuna, begins again on a contrast. We started with this very heated confrontation between the commander, Fernan, and Frondoso over the commander's attempted rape, essentially, of Laurencia. And they're talking about honor, they're talking about dignity, they're talking about all these highfalutin things. It's very dramatic. So, of course, a change in scene, change in acts in this has to swing that pendulum. And you're going to go from one thing to the other. So if you're at a point of very heated drama about high ideals of honor, well, we're going to come back after a short recess, intermission, and you're going to get characters talking about wheat. Esteban says, we've still abundant stocks of wheat reserve, but really mustn't raid our granaries more. These recent forecasts have us all unnerved, and I believe our strength lies in this store, though some don't see what good these stocks have served. That's just chit-chat by two municipal officials wandering onto the stage and talking about very ordinary stuff. How much wheat do we have? Now again, beginnings and endings. You get a contrast from the ending of the final scene of Act 1 with this beginning of the first scene of Act 2, and that contrast is significant. It points out that, okay, there is no unity of time, there is no unity of place, there is some contrast going on there. These two things are being weighed against one another. But why waste a first line on something just for shock value? What significance could wheat have? Well, they're talking about food. Again, wheat is food, or at least it is used to make food. So there's that fundamental human concern being waved right there. But also we're talking about a shortage of it. We're talking about economics, not macroeconomics, Adam Smith's invisible hand and all of that hooey, but rather how much food do we have? Can we feed our people? Which is very fundamental to any society. It's very immediate, it's very understandable. It is also about limits, limitations. We have X amount of wheat, we have Y number of people. Do we have enough? Are there limitations that we need to accept? Interesting. Curious little point that comes out. That sense of economic pressure is also a political thing. They are chafing against this tyrannical rule of this commander. That's a political frustration. They're not blaming him immediately here. They're certainly not blaming the king and queen. But there is a little note there of the upward pressure of the political situation. When people get hungry, they get unstable. People fight about food more than anything else in the history of man. Because what's more important? The commander comes in. He very cavalierly tells Esteban, yeah, I like your daughter. Bring her around sometime. I'll show her a good time. And we can all speculate on what he really wants her for. And that simple line from Esteban, my daughter, you know, he has been bending over backward the last few lines to establish the importance and the dignity of this figure, of the commander, saying, no, 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 you sit here. This is the seat of honor. We're going to stand because this is all protocol, and we're all acting out the systems of respect that we have inherited from our forebears in civilization, and we're going to show you the respect that your level on the hierarchy deserves. But of course, once you crack out of that social dance that they're doing, it starts to take on new meaning because the commander singles out his daughter. That is not polite society at that point. That is not just simple protocols. That's getting personal. And that line, my daughter, you can just feel the emphasis there in the character. A lady here in town you'd call distinguished noted my designs and, at the first sign of my signs, succumbed. Which means some other woman saw me putting the moves on your daughter, and she knew what I wanted, so she gave it to me. Notice also that phrasing, at the first sign of my signs. The word sign, symbols, something to be interpreted, something exterior, something superficial, something like language that might be devoid of meaning, but we use it anyway. Esteban responds to this allegation about a distinguished lady who acts like a cheap whore. Then she disgraced us all, if you don't mind me saying, sir. Your language ought to be less free. Again, the moralism that we saw in Laurencia, but also that sign that he is, or that suggestion that he is a moral person himself, not just judging other people, but also he sees himself as part of the community. If that woman you say you met did in fact do something wrong, then that's a stain on all of us because we are all one community. He's talking about honor in poverty, honor of the common folk, not the honor of Fernet, the honor of the aristocracy. The commander's response has got some sting to it. The rustic speaks so loftily. You common little clod of nothing. Are you taking airs? Are you getting haughty-taughty with me? Who do you think you are? Ah, Flores, have this villager read one of Aristotle's tomes, or the Politics here. Flagging Aristotle, once again. Little breadcrumbs getting tossed out in your way. What context should we be thinking of in here? What association should we have? Do we even know that Esteban can read? Maybe not. Probably doesn't read Aristotle. But it's an interesting choice of things that he could read. This affront to his dignity gets played out. And with every step, Ferdinand just displays that he just doesn't care. He's not trying to, hem in his own attitude, his own biases, his own disdain for these common folk. These peasants can be tiresome. In cities, they know how to treat a man of qualities and meet his every wish when he is come. There, husbands deem it flattery when other men pursue their wives. I love that. His every wish. Because he has no sense of limitations. His every wish should be granted. Because I want it. Anything I want is okay. If I want that girl, I should be able to tell her father, yeah, go bring her over to me so I can rape her. No filter, no barriers. Says it like it is. But I'm not giving him a lot of points for authenticity here. Limitations, again and again and again. Limitations on behavior, limitations on humanity itself, the expression of humanity.